She was only 8, trembling, barefoot, and whispering through tears, "Mom, please, stop." But no one listened, not the neighbors, not the father who looked away. Until one night, a black Rolls-Royce stopped in front of that broken house, and out stepped a woman whose name could silence boardrooms, a black female billionaire who saw something familiar in that child's pain. What happened next didn't just save the girl. It exposed the darkest truth about what power, compassion, and justice really mean. The storm outside roared like a beast, its claws of wind slashing against the worn-down cottage where Lily lived with her father and stepmother, Marissa. Her father, once a warm, laughing man, was now a shadow. Absent, distant, buried in work far away. That left Lily alone with Marissa, whose love was as cold as the rain hammering the roof. The night had begun like all others, with silence and fear. Dinner had been burned again. Lily's fault, Marissa claimed. The girl stood barefoot on the icy kitchen floor, her heart pounding as Marissa's voice cut through the air like broken glass. "Do you even know how useless you are?" Marissa hissed, tossing the charred pan into the sink. "Your father should have sent you away with your mother. Maybe then, I'd have peace." Before we begin, let me know where you are watching from. Leave your country name in the comments below. And if you love stories about courage, loyalty, and community, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next stories. The name Mother hung in the air like smoke. Forbidden. Heavy. Lily swallowed the lump in her throat. She had never known her mother, only stories her father once whispered when he thought Marissa wasn't listening. A woman who sang lullabies, who smelled of lavender, who promised to come back. But promises, Lily had learned, were just words that vanished like breath on a window. Marissa's hand came down hard. A sharp slap cracked through the kitchen. Lily stumbled back, biting her lip to hold in the cry. She had learned that tears only made things worse. But tonight, something inside her cracked. Not loud, but deep. When Marissa turned away, Lily ran, out the back door, into the storm, barefoot on the wet earth. Lightning tore across the sky, illuminating the field beyond the house. She didn't know where she was going, only that she needed to get away. Her small frame shivered under the pounding rain, hair clinging to her face. She could barely see through the blur of water and tears. She reached the edge of the old road when a blinding light filled her eyes. A car, sleek, black, expensive, came to a halt just inches away. The tires screeched, the rain hissed on metal. The door opened, and a woman stepped out. Cassandra Moore. Her presence was electric. Tall, elegant, skin like obsidian polished by moonlight. Even in the storm, her aura radiated control, compassion, and quiet power. She bent down, her voice soft, yet commanding. "Sweetheart," Cassandra said, kneeling in the mud. "What are you doing out here all alone?" Lily could barely speak, her lips trembling. "Please, don't take me back." Cassandra's brow furrowed. "Back where?" Before Lily could answer, a voice echoed from the darkness. Sharp, furious. "Lily." Marissa's silhouette appeared under the lightning, her face twisted with rage. Cassandra rose slowly, turning toward the approaching woman. The billionaire's eyes, deep, calculating, softened with something else. Recognition. "Marissa?" Cassandra's voice dropped, low and dangerous. Marissa froze, her face drained of color. "You—" The wind howled between them, carrying a single, trembling whisper from Lily. Barely audible, but enough to slice through the night. She used to work for you." A flash of lightning illuminated Cassandra's face. A storm within a storm. The air grew still for a heartbeat. Then, from somewhere in the darkness, a sound emerged, the unmistakable crunch of footsteps approaching. Slow, heavy. Not Marissa's, not Cassandra's. Someone else was there, watching. And the storm wasn't the only thing coming. Rain pounded the earth as if trying to wash away the truth buried beneath it. Cassandra's eyes stayed locked on Marissa, that same woman who once wore a cheap office uniform and begged for a second chance at more enterprises years ago. Cassandra remembered her, the trembling voice, the desperate eyes, and the betrayal that followed. Now, standing there soaked in rain and fury, Marissa was no longer the meek assistant she once pitied. She was something else, twisted by greed and resentment. "Get away from her," Marissa hissed, striding closer through the mud. Her hands trembled, though whether from fear or rage, Cassandra couldn't tell. "She's my daughter." Lily flinched at the word daughter. Her fingers clutched Cassandra's coat tightly, as if afraid she'd be torn away at any second. Cassandra looked down at the girl, the bruises peeking from under her sleeve, the hollow look in her eyes, and felt something stir deep inside her chest, something she hadn't felt in years. Protectiveness. "Your daughter?" Cassandra's tone was soft, but her words carried weight. "Funny, she looks more terrified of you than of the storm." Marissa's face twitched. "You don't understand. She's difficult. Always lying, always playing the victim. Her father spoiled her before he left. And now, enough!" Cassandra cut in, voice cold as glass. Lightning cracked again, illuminating all three of them in a frozen tableau. The child shivering in the billionaire's coat, the stepmother shaking with hatred, and the woman caught between past sins and present choices. Cassandra turned slightly, shielding Lily with her body. "You need help," she said, her voice dropping low. "Both of you do, but she stays with me tonight." "You can't just—" Cassandra raised a hand, silencing her. "Watch me." For a moment, the storm swallowed all sound. Then, crack! A branch snapped behind them. Marissa's eyes darted toward the tree line. Cassandra turned, scanning the shadows. There, a flicker of movement. Too tall to be an animal. Too quiet to be just the wind. "Lily," Cassandra murmured, her hand on the girl's shoulder. "Into the car. Now." The child hesitated, her small body trembling. "Who's out there?" Cassandra's gaze narrowed. "I don't know, but we're not waiting to find out." They backed toward the car, Cassandra keeping herself between Lily and the darkness. Marissa, though pale, didn't move. Her lips parted, whispering something barely audible. "He's not supposed to be here." "He?" Cassandra demanded. But before she could press further, the sound came again. Deliberate, slow steps on wet gravel. A figure emerged from the shadows. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a soaked overcoat. His face was partially hidden by the rain, but the gleam of recognition in Marissa's eyes said enough. "Daniel," she whispered, horror lacing her voice. Lily's breath caught. "Daddy?" The man stepped closer. Not the loving father Lily remembered, but a hollowed shell of him. His eyes were wild, unfocused, as if he'd been wandering through a storm far longer than just this night. "Lily?" His voice cracked. "I came back." Cassandra froze, piecing the fragments together in an instant. The absence. The lies. The fear. Marissa stumbled forward, panic in her movements. "You shouldn't be here. He cut her off. "You told me she was gone." The words struck the air like thunder. Lily blinked. "Gone?" Cassandra's jaw clenched. "She told you your daughter was dead?" Daniel's gaze shifted to the woman beside her, his expression shattering into disbelief and fury. "She said Lily died in the hospital, that there was nothing left to come home to." Marissa's voice rose, desperate. "I did it for you. You were falling apart. You couldn't handle it, Daniel. I had to—" "You lied," Cassandra said, her voice low but lethal. Marissa spun toward her, rain streaking down her face like tears. You don't know what it's like, watching someone you love crumble, watching everything slip away. You don't lie about a child's death, Cassandra snapped. Not ever. The storm seemed to hold its breath. Lily took a step forward, her tiny voice trembling but clear. Daddy? Daniel fell to his knees, reaching out with shaking hands. My baby. For a fleeting moment, something beautiful broke through the chaos. The kind of fragile, painful hope that makes hearts ache. But before the world could catch its breath, a flash of lightning illuminated something glinting. In Marissa's hand, a gun. Don't, Cassandra shouted, moving instinctively. She pulled Lily behind her and faced Marissa head-on. Marissa's face twisted in anguish. You don't understand. I can't lose everything again. Rain poured harder. Thunder rolled. Daniel froze, staring at the weapon. Marissa, please, he begged. Put it down. But Marissa's grip only tightened. She was supposed to be gone. You were supposed to stay with me. Cassandra stepped closer, calm and measured. You have a choice right now. End this, or destroy what's left of you. For a split second, their eyes met. Two women, bound by history, staring down the weight of pain, betrayal, and power. Then, bang! The gun fired. The sound tore through the storm like a scream, and something fell into the mud. Not blood, not a body, a silver locket. It had slipped from Lily's neck in the chaos, cracked open to reveal a faded photo inside. A smiling woman with the same bright eyes as Lily's. Cassandra looked down at it, then back at Marissa, who now stood frozen, her gun trembling, her eyes wide with horror at what she'd done. In the distance, police sirens began to wail, faint, but growing louder. Lily whispered, clutching Cassandra's sleeve. Mom said she'd come back when the storm ended. Cassandra looked up at the girl, her heart twisting. And in that moment, she understood. This was the storm the woman had meant, the one that would wash everything clean. The sirens drew closer, their echo slicing through the storm like a warning from fate. Red and blue lights flickered across the soaked trees, turning the rain into streaks of fire and shadow. Cassandra's pulse hammered in her ears, but her focus stayed sharp, one hand still on Lily's shoulder, the other ready to move if Marissa tried anything again. Marissa stood frozen, her gun lowered now, face pale as lightning. The look in her eyes wasn't defiance anymore. It was terror. The kind that comes when you finally realize the damage your own lies have caused. Daniel moved first. Slowly, he stepped toward her. Marissa, he said softly, voice trembling but calm. Put it down, please. This doesn't have to end like this. Marissa's lips quivered. You don't understand. I was trying to fix things. I was trying to... Fix? Cassandra snapped, stepping between them. You lied. You broke a child's heart. You turned this man into a ghost. That's not fixing. That's destroying. Her words hit hard. Marissa's fingers loosened, and the gun slipped from her grasp, clattering into the mud. For a long moment, all that could be heard was the rain and the far-off hum of sirens. Daniel knelt beside Lily, tears mixing with the rain on his face. You're real, he whispered, touching her cheek as if afraid she'd vanish. My God, you're really here. Lily didn't move at first. Then, slowly, she reached out, pressing her tiny palm against his. You came back, she said softly. He broke down completely, pulling her into his arms. The child clung to him, trembling. But for the first time in years, her tears weren't from fear. Cassandra stepped back, giving them space. She watched the two figures in the storm, father and daughter finding each other again. And for the first time in a long time, she felt something stir in her chest. Hope. It was faint, fragile, but real. The flashing lights grew brighter. Police cars rolled up the muddy road, their tires hissing. Officers poured out, shouting commands over the thunder. Drop your weapon. It's already down, Cassandra called, raising her hand slightly. She's unarmed. Two officers approached, one of them picking up the gun with gloved hands. The other moved toward Marissa, who didn't resist when they placed cuffs around her wrists. Marissa didn't even look up. Her voice was barely a whisper. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Cassandra studied her, the woman who'd once betrayed her, who'd now betrayed everything else, and felt no satisfaction. Only a strange, aching sadness. The officer turned to Cassandra. You're Cassandra Moore, aren't you? She nodded. Yes, I found the girl on the road. She was in danger. The officer gave her a respectful nod. We'll need statements from everyone, but for now, thank you. You probably saved her life. Cassandra looked down at Lily, still clutching her father. Maybe she saved mine, she murmured. As the police led Marissa to a car, she glanced back one last time. You think you're saving her? She spat weakly at Cassandra, but you have no idea who she really is. Before Cassandra could respond, the door slammed shut, muffling the rest of her words. The rain eased, softening to a drizzle. The storm had spent itself. Daniel carried Lily to Cassandra's car, his voice gentle. We'll need somewhere to stay tonight. I don't even know where home is anymore. Cassandra hesitated, then nodded. You can come with me. I have space. And I owe Lily that much. The three of them climbed into the car. The leather seats were cold, the silence thick with exhaustion and unspoken questions. Cassandra started the engine, and they pulled away from the flashing lights, leaving the shattered pieces of the night behind. For a while, no one spoke. The rain tapped softly against the windshield, like a heartbeat trying to calm itself. Then Lily's small voice broke the quiet. Miss Cassandra. Yes, sweetheart. She hesitated, fingers tracing the cracked silver locket in her lap. You knew her, didn't you? The woman in the picture? Cassandra's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Her breath hitched. Barely, but enough that Daniel noticed. She looks like you, Lily said softly. Cassandra forced a small smile, eyes fixed on the road. She was someone I once cared about. Daniel looked at her, confused. You knew Lily's mother? Cassandra didn't answer right away. Her thoughts drifted back, years ago, to a night almost exactly like this one. A hospital room. A promise she couldn't keep. A woman lying in a bed, whispering through tears. If something happens to me, promise you'll look after her. Cassandra had promised, and then she'd buried herself in business, in wealth, in everything that wasn't feeling. Until tonight. Your mother and I were friends, Cassandra said finally, her voice quiet but steady. We met when we were both trying to change the world. She believed in miracles. I stopped believing a long time ago. Lily looked up at her, eyes wide and shining even in the dim light. But you came anyway. Cassandra swallowed hard. Yes, she whispered. I came anyway. The car turned onto the private road leading to Cassandra's estate. A sprawling mansion perched on a hill above the city, its lights glowing like a beacon in the fading rain. But as they approached, something flickered across Cassandra's mind. A feeling, faint but certain, that this night wasn't over yet. Because when she glanced at the rearview mirror, she thought she saw movement, a shadow in the distance, a pair of headlights. No police car this time, following them at a steady pace. Her stomach tightened. Hold on, she said, her tone shifting. Daniel frowned. What is it? Cassandra's eyes narrowed on the mirror. I think we're being followed. And somewhere behind them, in the dark road slick with rain, a single headlight blinked twice, almost like a signal. Lily shivered and whispered, barely audible. Mom said the real storm comes after the rain. The word sent a chill through Cassandra's spine, and she realized the storm hadn't ended at all. It was only changing form. The narrow road twisted through the forest, its edges glistening under the thin veil of mist left behind by the storm. Cassandra's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, her pulse syncing with the hum of the engine. Behind them, the shadowy car maintained its distance, too far to see the driver, too close to be coincidence. Daniel noticed the tension in her posture. "You're sure it's not a police car?" he asked quietly. Cassandra didn't take her eyes off the mirror. "No. Whoever it is, they don't want to be seen." Lily sat between them, her little fingers clutching the silver locket again. The crack in it had widened, revealing a folded corner of paper hidden behind the photo. Cassandra noticed, her eyes narrowing. "What's that?" she asked softly. Lily hesitated, then pulled the damp piece of paper free. The ink was smeared, but a few words were still legible. "Find Cassandra Moore. She knows the truth." Daniel leaned forward, confusion clouding his expression. "What truth?" Cassandra's chest tightened. She had no answer, not one she could give without unearthing the past she'd buried. The woman in that photo, Lily's mother, Evelyn. She had been more than a friend. She was Cassandra's business partner in a humanitarian startup years ago. A dream that died the night Evelyn disappeared. And now this child, her daughter, had come back carrying Evelyn's final message. The car behind them flashed its headlights once, then twice. A signal. Cassandra exhaled slowly. "Seatbelts on," she ordered. Daniel frowned. "What are you—" Before he could finish, Cassandra swerved sharply down a side road, the tires skidding across wet gravel. The pursuing car accelerated instantly, following their trail like a predator scenting blood. The forest closed in around them, branches scraping the roof, the world reduced to shadows and speed. Cassandra's jaw clenched as she turned another corner, heart pounding. Lily cried out softly, "Are they going to hurt us?" "No, sweetheart," Cassandra said firmly. "Not while I'm here." Daniel's voice was raw with worry. "Cassandra, who could it be?" "Someone who doesn't want the truth out," she replied, eyes sharp. "And that means we're getting close to something." A flicker of headlights swept across the trees as the car behind them drew nearer. Cassandra's estate wasn't far now, just 2 more turns. But if she led whoever this was straight home, she'd be putting everyone there at risk. She made a split-second decision. "We're not going to the house," she said, spinning the wheel to the right. "Hold on." The car veered off the paved road, bouncing violently as it hit a dirt path that led toward an abandoned airstrip. Land Cassandra had bought years ago, but never developed. The tires screamed through mud and stone. The other car followed, its engine growling like a beast. Cassandra reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a small black device. Daniel blinked. "Is that—" "A GPS scrambler," she said, pressing the button. "It'll buy us a few minutes." The pursuing headlights flickered once, then began to fade. The engine's roar grew distant, and finally disappeared into the rain-soaked woods. For the first time in what felt like hours, silence. Cassandra slowed to a stop. The car idled at the edge of the airstrip, where puddles shimmered under faint moonlight. Her hands trembled slightly, the adrenaline slowly ebbing. Daniel exhaled shakily. "You just lost them." Cassandra nodded, but her expression was grim. "For now." She turned toward Lily, who was staring at the locket in her lap again. "Sweetheart," Cassandra said gently, "how long have you had that?" Lily thought for a moment. "Since my birthday. Mom gave it to me before she left." Daniel's brow furrowed. "Before she left, Lily, your mother, passed away years ago." The girl shook her head stubbornly. "No, Daddy. She said she was going somewhere safe. She said she'd send someone to find me. Cassandra's breath caught. Evelyn had vanished after a corporate investigation went wrong. A project meant to bring clean water to villages in Africa. But when their research data was stolen, Evelyn was accused of leaking it to a rival corporation. She'd tried to tell Cassandra something before she disappeared. A warning. But Cassandra had been too angry, too betrayed to listen. Now, staring at Evelyn's daughter, the weight of that regret pressed on her chest like a stone. "Lily," Cassandra said softly, "did your mom ever tell you who might hurt her?" The child looked down, voice barely a whisper. "She said they wore gold rings with a black crest, like a bird." Daniel frowned. "A bird?" Cassandra's eyes widened. "The Black Falcon." Daniel blinked. "You know it?" She nodded slowly. "It's the emblem of Orion Holdings, the same corporation that destroyed our project. Evelyn believed they'd been laundering funds through fake charities. When she tried to expose them, she disappeared." Daniel's face drained of color. "And you think they're still after her? Or her daughter?" Cassandra turned toward the dark forest, where the distant hum of an engine echoed faintly again. "No," she said. "They're after what Evelyn left behind." Lily looked up. "Left behind?" Cassandra knelt beside her, brushing wet hair from her face. "The truth, sweetheart. The one your mother died to protect." Before she could say more, a sharp thud hit the back of the car, hard enough to jolt all three of them. Daniel spun around. "What was that?" Cassandra reached for her phone, but the screen flickered and went black. Static filled the air like a whisper of electricity. Then, faintly, a voice, mechanical, distorted, came through the car's radio, though it wasn't even turned on. "Cassandra Moore, you should have stayed buried with your secrets." Lily screamed, clutching her ears. The voice cut off, replaced by the hiss of static and the steady drumming of rain. Cassandra's eyes darted to the mirror. A shadow moved across the airstrip. Tall, deliberate. Someone was there. "Out of the car," Cassandra whispered. "Now." They scrambled into the rain, the cold biting through their clothes. The air was thick with tension. Somewhere in the distance, an owl cried, a haunting echo under the storm's dying breath. Then Lily pointed toward the puddle near her feet. Floating there, half buried in the mud, was a gold ring engraved with a black falcon. Cassandra picked it up, her pulse racing. The metal was warm, as if it had just slipped off someone's hand. From the darkness came a single click, the unmistakable sound of a gun being cocked. "Don't move," a voice ordered from the shadows. Lily froze. Daniel instinctively stepped in front of her. Cassandra slowly turned toward the sound. A figure emerged from the tree line. A man dressed in black, his face hidden beneath a hood. But what made Cassandra's blood run cold wasn't the gun. It was the chain around his neck. Hanging from it was another silver locket, identical to Lily's. And that meant only one thing. Evelyn's secrets hadn't died with her. They'd been passed on, and someone else had come to claim them. The man stepped closer, rain sliding off his black hood in thin silver streams. His voice, calm but edged with authority, cut through the night. "Cassandra Moore," he said evenly. "Step away from the child." Cassandra's stance hardened. Her hand subtly reached toward the small flashlight clipped inside her coat. Not a weapon, but something she could use if needed. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice cold. He didn't answer. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, and for a fleeting second, lightning illuminated his face. Sharp features, unshaven jaw, eyes that looked too steady for a simple criminal. A soldier's eyes. Daniel moved instinctively, putting himself between the stranger and Lily. "If you think you're taking her, you'll have to go through me." The man's gaze flicked to him. "Daniel Ward," he said, almost to himself. "You should have stayed dead too." Daniel froze. "What did you just say?" The man didn't respond. He simply raised his gun higher. "Wait." Cassandra's voice broke the standoff. Her eyes flicked to the chain around his neck, the silver locket identical to Lily's. "Where did you get that?" The man's jaw tightened. "Same place your friend Evelyn got hers." At the mention of Evelyn's name, Cassandra's breath caught. She took a slow step forward, rain dripping from her lashes. "You knew her." His silence was an answer. "She's alive, isn't she?" Cassandra pressed, her tone sharper now. "You wouldn't be here if she weren't." The man's hand trembled. Barely, but Cassandra caught it. "Alive?" he said quietly. "Isn't the word I'd use." Daniel frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" The man's voice grew harder. "It means Evelyn Moore didn't just disappear. She was taken. Because of what she found." The words hung in the rain like a blade. Cassandra's heart thudded. "You're saying Orion Holdings, they didn't just silence her," he interrupted. "They used her research, weaponized it." "Weaponized?" Daniel repeated. The man's eyes locked on Cassandra's. "You remember Project Seraph, don't you?" Cassandra went pale. Project Seraph, a secret offshoot of her humanitarian foundation. A nanotech water purification system that could neutralize toxic elements in seconds. It was supposed to save lives, but in the wrong hands, it could just as easily destroy them. "You're telling me Evelyn found out what they were doing," Cassandra whispered, "and they made her disappear." The man nodded slowly. "And now, they want her daughter, because she's the only one who can unlock what Evelyn hid." Cassandra blinked. "What do you mean, unlock?" He tapped the silver locket around his neck. "There's data encoded in these. Coordinates, access keys, fragments of an encrypted file Evelyn created before she was taken. Yours," he pointed to Lily's locket, "is one half. Mine is the other." Daniel's face twisted in confusion and disbelief. "Then who the hell are you?" The man hesitated, then reached up and pulled back his hood. His hair was dark, streaked with gray. His face bore a faint scar across his temple. "My name is Adrian Cole," he said. "Evelyn's brother." The world seemed to tilt for a moment. Cassandra felt her breath catch. "She never told me she had a brother." "She didn't tell anyone," Adrian replied. "She was protecting me. I worked for Orion's security division, before I found out what they were really doing." The revelation hit like thunder. Lily stared at him, eyes wide. "You're my uncle." Adrian's face softened for the first time. "Yeah, kid, you are." But before the fragile calm could settle, a sharp metallic sound cut through the rain. The unmistakable click of a gun being cocked behind them. Cassandra spun around. 4 figures emerged from the tree line, dressed in tactical black, visors reflecting the faint moonlight. Each wore a ring engraved with the Black Falcon. Orion's private enforcers. Adrian swore under his breath. "They found us!" "Get Lily in the car," Cassandra ordered Daniel. "Now!" He obeyed without question, scooping the girl into his arms and sprinting toward the vehicle. Cassandra crouched behind the front fender, adrenaline burning through her veins. Adrian drew his weapon, not at them, but toward the forest. "You were followed from the house," he said tightly. Cassandra cursed. "We need to move." The first shot cracked through the air, a clean, professional sound. Bark splintered from the tree beside her. Adrian fired back, taking cover near a rusted hangar. Cassandra ducked lower, scanning the ground for anything useful. Her eyes landed on an old metal crate marked with faded letters. "Fuel reserve." She looked at Adrian. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" He gave a thin smile. "You always were reckless." "Correction," Cassandra said, pulling the emergency flare from her pocket. "I'm strategic." She struck the flare, its orange light cutting through the darkness, and hurled it toward the crate. Adrian fired once, hitting the side just enough to spark a chain reaction. The explosion tore through the rain, a thunderous roar that sent fire licking into the sky. The blast threw mud and heat across the clearing, scattering the attackers. "Now!" Adrian shouted. Cassandra sprinted to the car, throwing herself into the driver's seat. Adrian dove in the back, and the engine roared to life. They sped off the airstrip just as another burst of gunfire chased them. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and adrenaline. Lily clung to Daniel's chest, eyes wide. "Who are those men?" she cried. Adrian's voice was grim. "People who will do anything to bury what your mother tried to save." Cassandra drove fast, her mind racing faster. "We can't go to my estate. They'll track us." Daniel looked at her. "Then where?" Cassandra hesitated, then said, "There's a safe house. My old research lab, deep in the hills. If we can get there, we can decrypt whatever's in that locket and finish what Evelyn started." Adrian nodded. "Then let's move, because once they realize we survived, they won't stop coming." As they sped through the night, Lily's small voice broke the tension again. "My mom said, when the truth comes out, light will return to the water." Cassandra glanced at her through the mirror. "What did she mean?" Lily shook her head. "I don't know, but she said the world would need it." Outside, lightning forked across the horizon, illuminating the road ahead, a twisting ribbon of wet asphalt leading toward the mountains. Behind them, a distant fire still burned in the forest, orange against the black sky. And in that fleeting light, Cassandra realized the truth Evelyn had left them wasn't just about technology. It was about redemption, and the price of saving what's pure in a world built on corruption. But redemption always demanded a sacrifice, and Cassandra could feel hers drawing near. The mountain road stretched endlessly before them, a black ribbon glistening under the pale moonlight. Cassandra's car carved through the mist, the headlights slicing the darkness as though trying to reach something beyond it, something sacred and dangerous at once. Inside, silence pressed down on everyone. Lily had fallen asleep in Daniel's arms, her tiny frame shivering from exhaustion. Adrian sat in the back seat, one hand clutching the locket at his chest, the other resting near his sidearm. Cassandra's eyes stayed fixed on the road, but her mind was far from it, tangled in memories she'd tried to forget. Evelyn. The laughter they shared in that tiny office when Project Seraph was just an idea written on napkins and whiteboards. The promise they'd made to each other. No matter what happens, this project saves lives, not takes them. And the day Evelyn vanished, leaving only a message Cassandra had ignored because anger was easier than grief. Now, driving through the mist with Evelyn's daughter in her care, Cassandra felt the weight of every missed call, every warning unheeded, pressing down like stone. "Where exactly is this lab?" Daniel asked, finally, breaking the silence. Cassandra took a deep breath. "Hidden beneath an abandoned observatory. Evelyn and I built it off the grid, back when we didn't trust anyone with our data." Adrian leaned forward slightly. "And you're sure it's still secure?" "It should be," Cassandra replied. "I shut everything down years ago. But if Evelyn left something there—" Her voice trailed off. Adrian understood. "Then it'll be waiting for us." As they climbed higher, fog thickened around the car. Pines loomed on both sides, their branches whispering against the wind. The GPS went dark. No signal, no map. Just the sound of tires crunching over gravel and the faint hum of the engine. Finally, Cassandra slowed and turned onto a narrow dirt road almost swallowed by overgrowth. The car bumped along until they reached a rusted gate half buried under vines. "This is it," she said quietly. They stepped out into the cold. The air smelled of rain and pine needles. Adrian scanned the perimeter with a soldier's caution, while Daniel carried Lily, still half asleep, her small fingers gripping his shirt. Cassandra found the old keypad embedded in a stone wall near the gate. The numbers were faded, but her fingers remembered the pattern. Her and Evelyn's birthdays combined. The lock clicked, and the gate creaked open. Inside stood what looked like a crumbling observatory, its dome cracked, ivy crawling up its sides. But beneath it, Cassandra knew, lay something far more important than a telescope. She led them around to the back, where a metal hatch lay half buried under fallen leaves. With a grunt, Adrian helped her pull it open, revealing a staircase descending into the earth. "Stay close," Cassandra warned. "Power might still be unstable." They descended slowly, their footsteps echoing. The air grew cooler, drier, filled with the faint hum of dormant machines. Then Cassandra flipped a switch on the wall, and the underground lab flickered to life. Rows of dusty monitors blinked on. The faint glow revealed glass panels, old blueprints, and the faded logo of Project Seraph on the far wall. Daniel whistled softly. "You built all this?" Cassandra nodded. "Before the board took everything away." Lily stirred, her eyes opening. "Is this where my mom worked?" "Yes," Cassandra said gently. "She loved this place, said it was where miracles would be born." Adrian approached one of the old consoles, brushing dust off the surface. "If Evelyn hid anything, it'll be in the encrypted drives." He plugged in a small device from his pocket, a military-grade decryption key, and began typing rapidly. Cassandra watched, her heart pounding. Each beep of the computer sounded like a countdown. Finally, the screen flickered, and Evelyn's face appeared. A recorded message. Lily gasped, stepping closer. "Mom?" Cassandra felt the air leave her lungs. Evelyn looked older, then she remembered. Her face gaunt but still beautiful, her eyes blazing with purpose. "If you're watching this, it means I failed to stop them." Evelyn's voice was steady, but there was pain behind it, the kind that came from betrayal. Orion Holdings took everything, our research, our data, our trust. But they can't take the truth. Project Seraph was never just about purification. It was about rebirth, a living technology that adapts to heal. They wanted it as a weapon. I hid the final sequence before they could extract it. Cassandra stepped closer. The final sequence. Evelyn's eyes seemed to find hers, even across time. "Cass, I know you're there. I know you're angry. But you have to finish what we started. The access code is split between two lockets, Lily's and the one I left with Adrian. Together, they'll reveal the coordinates of the Seraph core. Guard it with your life. The world will need it soon." The video glitched, static cutting across the screen. Evelyn's voice returned, faint but clear enough to shatter Cassandra's composure. "Tell Lily. I never stopped believing in the light." Then the feed went black. The silence that followed was absolute. Daniel put a hand on Cassandra's shoulder. "You okay?" Her throat tightened. She knew this would happen. She planned everything. Adrian nodded slowly. "And now we know what they're after. The core. If Orion gets it, they could control entire water systems, starve nations, end economies overnight." Lily looked between them, confusion in her small face. "But Mom said it was a miracle. How can something good hurt people?" Cassandra knelt in front of her, brushing hair from her cheek. "Because power, sweetheart, is only good when it stays in the right hands." A faint beeping suddenly filled the room. Adrian turned to one of the side monitors. "Motion sensors. Someone's outside." Cassandra's blood ran cold. "Already? Looks like 2 vehicles. Small convoy." She grabbed her coat. "We have to move. Now." Adrian nodded, pulling up a map on the console. "There's a service tunnel at the north end. It'll take us to the cliffs." They hurried down the narrow corridor, Lily holding Cassandra's hand tightly. The tunnel was dark, lined with dripping pipes and flickering lights. The sound of boots echoed faintly behind them. Orion's agents were inside. Halfway through, a loud crash thundered through the passage. Smoke filled the air, followed by the metallic scent of gunpowder. Adrian cursed. They blew the hatch. Cassandra turned to Daniel. Take Lily and go. Follow the tunnel till it ends. There's an emergency exit on the cliffs. What about you? He shouted over the noise. I'll hold them off. Adrian stayed beside her, checking his weapon. You're not doing this alone. She glanced at him, the brother of the woman she once loved like family, and nodded. Then let's finish what she started. The agents emerged through the smoke, black silhouettes moving with precision. Gunfire lit the corridor in bursts of fire and sound. Cassandra ducked behind a support beam, adrenaline surging. Adrian fired back, covering her flank. Sparks flew as bullets ricocheted off the walls. Daniel's voice echoed down the tunnel, calling Lily's name. The child looked back once, tears in her eyes, before disappearing into the darkness ahead. Cassandra turned to Adrian. We can't hold them forever. He gritted his teeth. Then we don't. We bury the evidence. He pulled a small detonator from his belt. Cassandra's eyes widened. You brought charges? Always do, he said grimly. Old habits. The floor shook as another explosion hit somewhere above. Time was running out. Adrian tossed her a data drive, the decrypted key. Take it. Find the core. End this. She shook her head. I'm not leaving you. He gave her a faint smile. Evelyn trusted you, Cass. Don't waste that. Then he pushed the detonator into her hand and ran toward the oncoming agents. Adrian! The last thing she saw was the flash of gunfire before the tunnel erupted in flame. The shockwave threw Cassandra backward. She hit the ground hard, clutching the drive, the sound of fire roaring behind her. Then, silence again, broken only by the wind whispering through the open end of the tunnel. She staggered to her feet and stumbled toward the exit. Outside, Daniel and Lily were waiting on the cliffside, the city lights far below. Cassandra fell to her knees beside them, smoke still clinging to her coat. Lily looked up at her, eyes full of tears. Where's my uncle? Cassandra took her hand gently, the words breaking her heart. He's with your mom now. The girl leaned into her, sobbing quietly. Cassandra held her close, staring at the horizon, where the first pale light of dawn broke through the clouds. And as the sun rose over the mountains, Cassandra swore an oath. Silent, but unshakable. She would finish what Evelyn began, no matter what it cost. The morning after the explosion, a strange calm settled over the mountains. Mist rolled down the cliffs, swallowing the scars of the night before, as if the earth itself was trying to hide what had happened. Cassandra sat on a rock near the cliff's edge, a silver data drive clutched in her hand. Her coat was torn, her face streaked with soot. But her eyes burned with something new. Not grief, not fear. Purpose. Behind her, Daniel tended to a small fire, warming Lily's hands. The child hadn't spoken since the explosion. Every now and then she would glance at the tunnel's dark opening, as if expecting her uncle to step out. But no one came. Cassandra closed her eyes for a long moment, hearing Adrian's voice echo in her memory. Evelyn trusted. You, Cass. Don't waste that. She stood abruptly. We can't stay here. Daniel looked up. They'll be searching the area. We should head west. Cassandra shook her head. They'll expect that. Orion controls everything west of these ranges. We go east, into the Warden Valley. It's off-grid, remote, and... She hesitated, staring down at the drive in her hand. It's where the coordinates lead. Daniel frowned. You've already decrypted it? Partially, she said. Adrian's locket contained the second half of the code. I matched it with Lily's last night while she slept. Daniel glanced at Lily, then back at her. "And you didn't think to tell me?" Cassandra's tone hardened. "Would it have changed anything? We have no time for trust issues, Daniel. Not when people are dying for this." He clenched his jaw, then sighed. "Fair point." Lily tugged at Cassandra's sleeve, her voice small. "What's the Seraph Core?" Cassandra knelt, softening. "It's something your mother and I built to heal the world. A system that purifies water, regenerates damaged ecosystems, even repairs organic tissue. But it was never finished." "Why not?" "Because your mother realized too late that it was becoming something else," Cassandra said quietly. "A living intelligence, one that could choose what to save and what to destroy." Lily's brow furrowed. "Like a person?" Cassandra hesitated. "In a way, yes, but it needed a source, a consciousness pure enough to guide it." She stopped, her breath caught. Daniel noticed. "Cass?" "What is it?" She looked at Lily. Really looked at her. And the realization hit like lightning. The way Evelyn's codes reacted to Lily's locket. The way the Seraph prototype in the lab had once pulsed at the sound of Evelyn's voice. The final failsafe Evelyn mentioned. A living key. "Oh my God," Cassandra whispered. "Lily, it's you." The little girl blinked. "Me?" Daniel stood confused. "What do you mean?" "Evelyn didn't just build the core," Cassandra said, voice trembling with awe and fear. "She built it around something. Someone. She used her own neural patterns to program its foundation, and she encoded the final activation sequence to sync with matching DNA." Daniel's eyes widened. "Her daughters." Cassandra nodded slowly. "Lily is the living key to the Seraph Core." The words hung in the air like thunder. Lily took a step back, frightened. "But I don't want to be a key. I just want my mom." Cassandra's heart clenched. She reached out, cupping Lily's face gently. "I know, sweetheart. But your mom made sure no one could use her creation without you. She made you the only one who could keep it safe." Daniel turned toward the valley, scanning the horizon. "If that's true, then Orion will never stop hunting her." "They won't get the chance," Cassandra said firmly. "Not if we find the core first." They packed quickly and began the descent into the valley. The path twisted through dense forest, sunlight breaking through in fractured shards. For the first time in days, the air smelled of life, pine, moss, and distant rain, but peace was fleeting. By noon, Cassandra's encrypted satellite phone buzzed. Only one person had that number. She froze, staring at the screen. "Unknown caller, Orion Holdings." Her pulse quickened. She answered. "Cassandra Moore," a smooth male voice said. Calm. Too calm. "You've made quite the mess. Who is this?" she demanded. "Elias Corin," he replied. "CEO of Orion Holdings. We've never met, but I'm familiar with your work." "And Evelyn's." Her grip tightened. "Then you know I won't let you touch her legacy." He chuckled. "Oh, you misunderstand. I don't want to destroy it. I want to finish it." "You mean weaponize it?" A pause. "You still think too small, Cassandra. The Seraph Core isn't a bomb. It's salvation. Controlled salvation. Imagine choosing who drinks clean water, who rebuilds after catastrophe, who lives, and who fades. That's power beyond money, beyond governments." Cassandra's stomach turned. "You're insane." "Maybe," he said softly. "But I'm the only one who can keep order in a world that's falling apart." His tone shifted, colder now. "You're running toward Warden Valley, aren't you? Be careful. That place doesn't just hide your answers. It remembers everything Evelyn buried." The line went dead. Cassandra lowered the phone, her hands shaking. "He knows where we're going." Daniel cursed under his breath. "Then we move faster." They pushed on through the forest. The ground grew steeper, the trees denser. As the sun began to dip, they reached a clearing, and there it was, A massive stone monolith stood in the center, carved with strange geometric patterns glowing faintly blue. The symbol of Project Seraph shimmered across its surface. Cassandra's breath caught. We found it. Lily approached slowly, drawn by something unseen. The air around her seemed to hum softly, the faint blue light brightening as she stepped closer. Daniel frowned. What's happening? Cassandra's voice was barely a whisper. It's reacting to her. The locket around Lily's neck pulsed with light, matching the glow from the monolith. She reached out instinctively, placing her small hand on the stone. The ground trembled. Light erupted from the cracks, spiraling upward into the sky. The entire clearing glowed like a living pulse. Cassandra shielded her eyes, shouting over the roar, "Lily, let go!" But Lily didn't move. Her eyes were wide, filled not with fear, but wonder. Images began to flash in Cassandra's mind. Evelyn laughing beside her in the lab, sketches of the core, maps, blueprints. And then, something else. A vast underground structure beneath the valley, a sphere of light suspended in darkness, alive, waiting. The Seraph Core. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the light vanished. Lily collapsed into Cassandra's arms, unconscious but breathing. Daniel knelt beside them. Is she? She's fine, Cassandra said, holding Lily close. She just activated the first sequence. Daniel glanced back toward the forest. We should move before Orion catches up. But Cassandra's gaze stayed fixed on the glowing monolith. Because beneath the light, new words had appeared, etched in Evelyn's handwriting. When the key awakens, the world will choose, redemption or ruin. The forest was silent again, and somewhere in the distance, a helicopter's faint hum echoed across the mountains. They weren't alone anymore. The forest trembled under the thunder of rotor blades. The hum grew louder, closer, until the night itself seemed to pulse with dread. Cassandra looked up, the beam of a helicopter sweeping through the trees, slicing through the mist. "They found us," Daniel hissed, grabbing his rifle. Cassandra turned to him, her voice low and steady. "We can't fight them head on. Not here. We finish this. Now." She knelt beside Lily, who was stirring, her eyelids fluttering open. The child's skin glowed faintly, the residual energy of the monolith still shimmering beneath her veins. "Lily," Cassandra said gently, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Do you remember what you saw?" Lily blinked, confused. It was light. And a voice. It said, "Come home." Daniel frowned. A voice? Cassandra nodded. The core is awake. It's calling her. The helicopter's floodlight swept over the clearing now. Dozens of figures in black tactical gear dropped from the trees, their weapons drawn, forming a ring around them. And then, stepping out from the shadows, came him. Elias Corrin. Even in the half-light, he radiated control. Tall, immaculate, his silver hair slicked back, a faint smile on his face. "Miss Moore," he greeted smoothly. "It's been far too long." Cassandra rose slowly, placing herself between him and Lily. "Not long enough." Corrin's gaze shifted to the child. "So this is Evelyn's masterpiece." Lily shrank back, clutching Cassandra's sleeve. Cassandra's voice hardened. "She's not your experiment. She's a child." He tilted his head slightly. "A child who holds the key to the Seraph Core, the most advanced piece of biointelligence ever created. Tell me, Cassandra, are you really willing to doom billions just to protect one little girl?" Daniel stepped forward, weapon raised. "You'll have to go through me." Corrin smirked. "Oh, I plan to." He snapped his fingers. The soldiers lifted their rifles, but before anyone could fire, the ground beneath them trembled. A deep, resonant hum filled the air, growing louder, stronger, until the very forest seemed to vibrate. Lily gasped. "It's waking up!" The monolith erupted in light, blinding, pure, endless. The soldiers staggered back, shielding their eyes. The glow spiraled upward, forming a pillar that pierced the sky. Cassandra turned to Lily, shouting over the roar, "You can stop this! You can shut it down!" Lily shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "It doesn't want to stop. It's scared." "Then talk to it," Cassandra pleaded. "The core listens to you, not them." The girl closed her eyes, clutching the locket at her neck. Her small voice broke through the chaos, trembling but steady. "Please, I don't want anyone to get hurt. Mom said you're supposed to help. Please, help us." The light changed. It softened, from blinding white to gentle gold. The wind calmed, and for a moment, everything stilled. Then, a voice, not from any speaker, not from any mouth, echoed through the clearing. Warm, ethereal, familiar. "Lily." Cassandra froze. She knew that voice. Evelyn. The glow formed into a shape, faint, like smoke and light intertwined. Evelyn's face materializing before them, smiling softly. "My darling girl, you've done so well." Lily reached out, tears streaming. "Mom, I missed you." "I never left," Evelyn's voice said gently. "I'm part of it now." The Seraph Core isn't a weapon. It's life. It learns from the heart of the one who wakes it. You, Lily. You decide what it becomes. Corin stepped forward, desperate now. "No, you can't. You don't understand the power you're wasting." Evelyn turned her gaze toward him, her tone calm but sharp as glass. "You built empires from suffering, Elias. You forgot that power without compassion is corruption." Corin raised his weapon, trembling with rage. "You're a ghost! You can't stop me!" Before he could pull the trigger, the light around Lily flared, wrapping around her like a golden shield. The bullet disintegrated midair. The ground beneath Corin cracked open, and a burst of pure energy surged upward, throwing him backward into the darkness. The soldiers fled. The forest fell silent. Lily collapsed again. But this time, Cassandra caught her. The light around them dimmed until only the faint pulse of the monolith remained. Evelyn's form flickered. "She's safe now, Cassandra," Evelyn said softly. "But the world isn't ready for the core. It must sleep again. Until humanity learns what mercy means." Cassandra's throat tightened. "You're leaving again." Evelyn smiled sadly. "I never truly left. I'm proud of you. Take care of her. And believe, Cass, there's always light, even in ruin." And with that, the light faded completely. The clearing returned to shadow. The monolith's glow subsided to a single, gentle pulse, like the heartbeat of something ancient going back to rest. Cassandra held Lily tightly as dawn broke over the valley. Daniel stood beside them, the rifle now lowered, his eyes wide with awe. For a long time, no one spoke. Then Lily whispered, her voice small but steady. "She's gone, isn't she?" Cassandra kissed her forehead. "She's part of something bigger now, and she left the world a gift. You." Lily nodded slowly, leaning into her embrace. "What will we do now?" Cassandra looked toward the horizon, the light spilling over the mountains, the world below still sleeping, unaware of the miracle that had just passed them by. "We'll rebuild," she said softly. "Not with power or money, but with what your mother believed in. Hope." Daniel smiled faintly. "And maybe peace." Cassandra exhaled, the first breath of calm she'd felt in years. In the golden light of morning, the three of them began walking down the path that led out of the valley. Behind them, the monolith stood silent, a monument to sacrifice, faith, and the fragile miracle of love. As they disappeared into the forest, a single ray of sunlight struck the locket around Lily's neck. It gleamed briefly, as if winking, a quiet promise from somewhere beyond. A promise that the light, once awakened, would never fade again.